Hi, welcome to this video. This one's gonna be a little bit different than the other one because I'm not talking about books per se. I'm gonna be talking about becoming a more active reader. And I'm inviting myself this year into being more of a participant in my reading and not defaulting to what I've been doing, which is letting the authors do all the heavy lifting. Instead, I want to be a part of it and do some of the work myself. In order to do that, I've sort of been experimenting with a few things, and those are the things I'll be talking about in this video. If it resonates, cool. If it doesn't, also cool. This is not me saying this is the right way to read, this is a better way to read. No. I'm just saying this is a little experiment that I'm doing for my own personal reading journey. And to be as clear as possible, these are just things I'm trying. I'm not even necessarily good at that. I don't even necessarily vouch for any of this stuff because these are things that I haven't been doing long enough to be able to say with like certainty, like, yes, this is for sure gonna help. But you know, so far, I guess I like it enough to say it. So the first thing I'm doing is when I can, I'm picking up the physical book. I just noticed if I can annotate, underline, highlight, make notes in the margin, then I am more likely to be a participant in that dialogue with the author. I'll read something and I can be like, oh my God, that was so dumb. And then I'll write in the margins, OMG, done. And even just that little note just helps me remember the experience of reading it so much more, because I remember pausing and like feeling frustrated and like writing that down. That said, that's not always possible, right? Sometimes we don't have the physical book. Right now I'm reading James Welch, Winter in the Blood. This is the library copy. I can't write in it, obviously, because it's a library book. So I have a Post-it. I have two Post-its going. There's one inside the book, and I'm filling it up as I go. And once I have no more space, I'm sticking it in wherever that last page was, where I filled out the last note. And I've got a second one that I'm working on. I'm annotating, but specifically writing down noticings, wonderings, and maybe like things that are starting to come up for me like thematically that I'm like, oh, I wonder if this is important to the book. I'm like noticing patterns of it. I'm gonna write it down. And so like, here's what I have so far. I put recurring violence, shooting dog, grandma plotting to kill a girl, punching character. And so after two sort of violent things happened, I just noticed that my body was picking up on this like, and again, that's the whole point. I don't have to have the words for it right now. Cause I'm like, oh, is it melancholy? Is it anguish? I don't need to think about that yet. I don't need to know yet, because I can just write something that's more objective than that, which is just like, oh, I'm noticing violence, and then writing down the examples as they come up. Another objective note that I wrote down next was constantly telling you what animal sound is happening. Like this author keeps interrupting, maybe not interrupting. See, now I can sort of really muse on it. As I'm reading the book, I can start thinking more subjectively about them. Oh, you know what? I think this is a representation of like nature's indifference toward us, toward humans. Or, oh, you know what? I think this might be symbolic about this character's relationship. I don't know. And I might never know. But I'm able to sort of take note of things that I just notice are happening a couple times in the book and that I think might be important for me to make meaning of the story as I keep going. Here's what I like about this. I'm in dialogue with the author, but I'm in dialogue with me, because I was trying to make the argument that I think this book is showing distance. And then one of the examples I put was that the narrator seems to be distant from the grandma. But then I kept reading and I was like, So then I drew an arrow and then I sort of like talked back to that idea. And I said, yeah, but immediately he makes sure that she has music and tobacco. Is it, and here are my questions, here are my wonderings. Is it a fear of getting in trouble with the mom? Is it rote piety? I don't really know what I meant by that. I can think about it later. Or tenderness. So I was trying to figure out what could have motivated it. And so something else I annotate is when I'm confused. Like this one just says, the first note says, what is happening here? My favorite thing has been like being honest about when I'm confused. I have no idea what's happening in chapter 15 or the purpose. And I think that's so important in being like an active reader, is being honest and be like, well, I don't know what happened. I don't get it. I've got choices now, right? I can choose to reread. I can go back and reread that chapter. I can reread that paragraph. I can reread a sentence. Or I can keep going and trust that it will reveal itself. I don't think there's a right or wrong. As I'm reading, I'm sort of subconsciously going, oh, does this explain that scene I didn't get? Does this explain that scene I didn't get? And whether or not I actually end up understanding what the heck happened in that chapter, it means that I've got a lens to view the rest of the book through. One of my goals now is, as I'm reading the rest of the book, I'm trying to make sense of that scene. I'm trying to understand what happened. Oh, okay. So something else, and I think this is especially good with books that break themselves into parts. I just finished chapter 17. And then the next page looks like this, part 2. And then I was gonna keep reading, but I was like, wait. The author is breaking it into parts. Why did the author choose to end part 1 there? So then I was like, okay, let me pause. Pausing. Just like a throwaway thing really quick. Something I've been doing is pausing. Pausing, oh my God, the more I pause in a book, I feel like the more I can think about it. I wrote you can see look how tiny this is. So obviously I didn't go into any detail. I just sort of like picked 6 beats of that first part, summarized very briefly what happened in part 1. I think by stopping at a part and sort of like quickly summarizing what's happened so far, sort of think about the chronology of events. I think pausing at sort of the natural breaks that the author creates. The author chose to stop a chapter at a certain point. The author chose to end part 1, part 2, part 3 at a certain point. And I think just like reflecting for a second before moving on to the next part is really helpful and helping me think about author's craft. Sometimes I take for granted that like, no, the author made a decision there. It might be cool to like think about why. Be curious, I guess, like be curious about author's craft. After writing, what do I make of part 1 so far, and writing all those things, I wouldn't say like I have a firm understanding of part 1. I don't think I could write an essay right now about part 1 and giving all its themes and symbolism. I have somewhere to start with all my little annotations and my notes. I might talk about the violence that I noticed. But I do think I have gained more from this reading experience by having participated a little bit in the meaning making. I think at the end of the day, like that's probably what I want reading to be about for me, to have the best possible reading experience I could have. And I've just learned that it's rushing through a book, no matter how engaged I think I am or how much I could swear. I'm like, no. Like, I'm reading it. It's like, yeah, I'm reading every word. But if I'm not savoring and questioning, I think I rob myself of a more elevated reading experience. Not elevated in like a pretentious way. I guess it could feel or sound pretentious. And I guess there's a fear for myself that this will slow down my reading. And probably, yeah, like probably it will slow down my reading. And it will mean I read less audiobooks this year because, you know, this experiment that I'm trying. But yeah, probably it will. It probably will slow down my reading. And I probably won't read as many books this year. But wouldn't it be cool if I could remember all the books that I read and have a better understanding of the plot and what's happening? I think I'm okay with that trade-off for now. Things change, but I think I'm okay with that trade-off, and I'm happy to keep trying it. Thank you for watching. Bye.